Are we ready? I think so. Hi, I'm Dick Burgess. I'm a emeritus professor in McArdle Laboratory for Cancer Research, and I was happy to play a part in this, partly because Václav was the person who was responsible for me coming to Madison in 1971. So, this is a special treat tonight. We have a world premiere. I haven't been to very many world premieres of a film called The Essence of Life by a well-known Polish documentary filmmaker, Anna Ferrand. She's standing right up there. Anna came to Madison a couple of years ago and did some filming, including me. I think I'll be in this, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the movie yet. Anyway, I'm very happy to see you all here. This is also, we have the honor of hosting the Polish consulate from Chicago, Konrad Zielinski, and he came to Chicago. I'm just curious, how many people here have Polish roots? Okay. Okay, the event has been sponsored by several groups. Probably the foremost is the Polish Heritage Club, and also the Center for Russia, East Europe, and Central Asia on campus here. And then in addition, the McArdle Laboratory for Cancer Research, which is celebrating its 75th anniversary, and the Morgridge Center which is quite interested in sponsoring things of interest to the community. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to have the film, then we're going to have a brief discussion, take questions from the audience. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to facilitate this. And then afterwards there's refreshments up on the balcony here. So I hope you enjoy the movie. I think I'm looking forward to seeing what it's about. I think I know what it's about, actually. But you'll find out. All right.
From Polish friends from Madison.
No, but not for Anna.
This is from Anna.
Thank you, dear. Take care of it.
It's a little hard to know what to say after that. It was material that I've never seen before, much of it. I've seen some of it, but I've seen the real thing.
But I haven't seen this material almost at all. Just
Well, tell me your impressions. Here, take the microphone.
We can't hear you.
well, this was made by Anna, and she was very secretive. She didn't show it to me. I only learned that she's coming here to show something to me, and I thought she would discuss with me, and here was the ready product for me, total surprised. And this film is composed of two parts, or more even. One is my life in first 25 years in Moveport, and then my science and scientific life. And some sort in one after another, and together and separately. I don't know what to say more about it, other than I'm very thankful to her for it, and was a big surprise for me. And I'm thankful to you for organizing a surprise too.
I'd be interested to hear a little bit about the process by which this film was made. I mean, you obviously interviewed many people. Did they know each other, that other people were being interviewed?
It was a very interesting time for me, making this movie, making research, making interview with people. I started almost 3 years ago. It was the first time when I met Václav in Warsaw. And then after 1 year I came to Madison, and I had a possibility to interview the Burgess and other people from MacArthur Laboratory. Then I back to Poland, and I started to make research in archives and in Gdańsk University, where Václav worked after the Second World War. And it was very difficult to squeeze his life in 55 minutes. Can you imagine how many interesting things I had skipped?
Sift through.
So I think that Václav life is the story for a series.
We'd like to have anybody who has a question. You have the experts here.
The question. Okay. Yes. So Václav, what are you working on right now?
Could you repeat it for the
Yes, what are you working right now?
Zdenka and myself, we still,
Give him a microphone.
Yeah. Zdenka, Radesh and myself, we are still working together in the lab, and we have many stains, mutant variants, which are being used for industrial purposes, so we take care that they're all well prepared, organized, just sent to the people. And in addition, we do experiments in the field of genetic engineering, and that's what our activity is.
Certainly there must be more questions.
Hello, here. So can I ask you, how did it feel? How does it feel to know that in Poland you had so many discoveries which were not able to be published because of occupation, and then see accolades and prizes go to others who discovered the same things later? How did you feel when you discovered that?
That's a normal process, because many people discover similar things, and the ones which have better publicity relations, etc., they are better known, and they are getting more acknowledgements, etc. So that's a normal process. Personally, when I'm not interested so much in my self-recognition, but I feel very strongly about the part of Poland when I grew up, where there were so many good scientists, and they were all killed, murdered, had no recognition, etc. When I work, I always think about them, and I wish to bring back to them some glory, etc. So, because that was denied to them during the war.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you want to get the microphone.
Mr. Szybalski, what do you consider to be your greatest achievement? And do you have any regrets about things that you could have done?
Well, it's hard to say what's the greatest. Nothing was very great because it's not very well recognized. But I change field from time to time, and always that was the greatest I was working on at that time for me. And the first one was very amusing when I was undergraduate student and discovered the paper chromatography, which would become so important. And the only reason I discovered because I couldn't get the powdered aluminum oxide, so I looked for some other powder, and I found that cellulose is a good powder, and it very nicely chromatographically separates. And then I thought, well, why couldn't I use the filter paper, which did the same? And that was very later used, because as was said in the film, the British have discovered that during the war, and paper chromatography become very important. I like the idea to correct the human gene by transfection of the cells and introducing missing or faulty genes. At that time, friends of mine, Paul Spring-Harrow, including Barbara McClintock, says you could never succeed. You are just damn Polish engineer, and you don't realize how chromosomes are important. You'll never be able to get DNA. I said, oh, try. And there were always some other things, but too many to mention.
Other questions, please?
Oh, Michael.
Thanks. I was wondering if you could discuss a little more about how you managed to leave Poland during war, early in the war, and also, as I understand it, you have an interesting story about how you narrowly escaped the atrocities of Kachin Forest.
As was mentioned in the movie, in 1946, 1 year after the war ended, Niels Bohr and his brother invited 250 Polish students to come to spend summer in Copenhagen. And it was like a miracle that we were able to get there. Main reason was because Stalin had too many things to worry about. It was not very organized. And Dr. Rosenthal arrived by a tiny airplane from Bornholm and just illegally landed in Gdansk and took the train with another 2 Danes, including the Danish students, head of the student, went to Warsaw and went to the president and said, I have this invitation. They were so flabbergasted in Warsaw, the Russian and communist authorities, they didn't know how could they say no to such a famous Nobel Prize winner as Bohr. So they took a risk and let us out. That's how it happened. First time she got out from there. And how did they survive the war? Just good luck. that I was so many times being sentenced to death, I can't remember, by Russian or by German or something. And I simply thought that I would do it, and it happened. And I was curious also. I not only was in Warsaw, I wasn't in ghetto there visiting. I only was delivering things through, but I went to the ghetto in Belzec to make a report which went later to the United States about the Belzec ghetto and destruction of the people, etc. And I made a plan, drawing of the railroad station with the idea that it would be destroyed by American planes. But when the plans were brought to the United States, first they were brought to England to Churchill. And he said, no, I don't do that. My friend Roosevelt would manage these things. So it went to Roosevelt, and Roosevelt says, well, first we have to win the war. After we win the war, we'll take care of these things like destruction or the death panel, etc. So all my effort to get the plans, etc., went for naught. Nothing happened. So I was totally unsuccessful. And Anka Wróblewska, which was with me, we went by bicycles, 90 kilometers from Lwów to Polsce. That's another long story, but we failed to convince the president to slow down the destruction by bombardment. Minor, it wasn't too difficult.
There was another hand in the back.
I would like to congratulate the producers of this movie. It's exceptionally well done, and we love this movie. And actually, you squeezed in 55 minutes, but you squeezed as much as you could. And it's all of us in the Polish community, the academic community, who have known Wacław. You probably didn't miss much. You know, you missed a lot, but at the same time, you hit all the important points. And I have one question for Wacław. I'm a neurologist, as you know. I've known you for 25 years, and anytime I see patients in my clinic with genetic conditions, we always talk about gene therapy, gene transfer. And if there is one, probably, not one maybe achievement, but one signature concept that you conceived, that you coined, would be probably gene therapy and gene treatment. You were so much ahead of the times when you proposed this. And it hasn't arrived yet in as much clinical significance as we'd like to, but it's coming. And I think, from my perspective, this would be your kind of signature on clinical medicine, this concept of gene therapy, which you coined probably, I don't know, in the 50s or 60s. Maybe you can comment on this.
I think it would be very nice that gene therapy was developed more important than it's at the present. I mean, that's my tragedy. I'm sometimes too early with these things. So, or almost always too early. It's better than to be too late. But I think gene therapy has to come to fulfillment, although it's so complicated because it could be always located in the wrong place, it could go to wrong spots. So we had to wait. And I think it was very nice that you mentioned of Anna, her contribution that she's, because I mean, she really be thanked by everybody that she was taking such a difficult subject and developed such an interesting film. Not everything is perfect, there I would change everything. But it's more than good enough. It's really, I enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
So I met Václav, as I mentioned, in '76, so this is long journey.
Is that on?
It is on.
It is on. Yeah.
Can you hear? Yeah. So '76 we were skiing Dutch time in Austria together, and then Václav was generous enough to invite me to his lab in '81, I believe. I decided to go to California, but what I want to say, I also teach microbial genetics in the Department of Bacteriology, and you wouldn't believe how many times I mentioned Václav's name in context of great discoveries. Directionality of transcription. He was the first one who melted DNA strands and showed that each of the strands hybridizes to different transcripts that are produced by lambda DNA. And gene therapy is very substantial conceptual advancement that he made, but there is a lot of molecular biology techniques that his lab developed that are milestones in development of molecular biology. And this was privileged to know Václav since '76 and different and co-author of some of the papers.
I'd like to just add one thing. When I first came to McCardle in 1971, Václav and I were the only two people in the department working on bacterial molecular biology. And so we had a lot of interaction. I had students, my students and his students published papers together. And Václav was a fanatic at understanding the details of lambda. There were big maps on the wall, and every month it would be updated to include the new things. But by digging very deeply on really one of the first pieces of DNA that one could handle, many of the major concepts which govern all of gene regulation were found by studying lambda. And one of the most common things you'll hear if you go to a seminar and Václav's in the audience, and he'll stand up and he said, "Yes, we discovered that in lambda in 1966. I mean, by studying something very deeply and in great detail with very great precision, he was able to elucidate many of the major regulatory elements that are common to all gene regulation. You want to say something?
Well, thank you. I agree with you that lambda is very important, and I like to also acknowledge all my teachers in high school and in university in Poland when I was born, because they really give me such a beautiful guidance. They understood that you have to study simple and well-defined fields, and then that's the way to proceed.
I know Václav in various fatherly roles. One of them, he was called a father of lambdology, just as you mentioned. He was also a father of, in our extended family that skied together in Black Hole Ski Club. But also he was invited and is recognized as a father of synthetic biology. And I think that it is something very important. So could you tell us a little bit more how you became the father of synthetic biology and what happened next?
I'm not used to being father. But as far as synthetic biology, that's correct. It was in what? It was 1818 or something when the first, because in organic chemistry it was known that there are molecules inorganic which could be synthesized in the lab, and there are organic molecules which have only synthesized by vital force. They could not be synthesized in the lab. And then that was found not true, and the first compound organic which was synthesized was urea, and from that on organic chemists were able to produce almost everything and organic compounds which had never produced and didn't exist even before. So then I thought the same has to be with biology. We should be able to synthesize organisms, new, modified, totally new, never existing, etc., and that would be synthetic biology, and that's how I introduced this term and described that at some lecture, I can't remember, I think in Israel. And that's how I look on the molecular biology, that in the molecular synthetic biology, to synthesize organisms which don't exist in nature. Because there were very long periods of time when it was known that you could not synthesize living things, and especially living cells. And that's still developing. It's still few examples, but nobody made a totally new animals yet, or totally new plants, etc. But it's in making.
Are there more questions here? I see some hands going up in the middle of the back.
In the middle and the back.
Well,
There was a hand over here.
Thank you, all of you, for your scientific contributions and for this movie, which I think was very beautiful and significant. And I have a question for Anna. So when you met Václav in Warsaw, was that your first meeting? And what about your conversation with him stimulated the idea for the movie, and how much footage do you have left over that you didn't use?
I had an idea to make a documentary, a series of documentary movies about Polish scientists who work somewhere in the world and who has achievements significant in world science. And one of my friends, Iza Wagner, she told me about Václav, and that he is a good person with very interesting story and very big scientific achievements. And he just came to Warsaw, and she called me, oh, Václav is in Warsaw. And we met, and our first conversation, it was 4 hours. 4 hours recording of Václav. It was first time.
Are you a scientist yourself?
No.
No.
No. But, when I started to make research, and when I decided to make the documentary about Václav, I thought maybe it was kind of naive, but I thought that it's a good occasion to ask scientists about some questions which I ask to myself, and probably everybody asks this question about life, what is life, what makes you happy. Maybe scientists in their laboratories can find something which will give the answer. And of course I didn't expect the recipes. Yes, but I got kind of. First of all, you have to have passion as Václav, and you have to have curiosity, as Dr. Burgess said, a curiosity what a child has. Then I think every day could be better and full of interesting things. So I'm not scientist, but after spending so many hours with scientists, talking about things which I completely didn't understand about they are talking, when I was trying, of course, cutting DNA and all this, you know, different difficult words, but and it I started to think, to feel like a kind of scientist, and I don't know if you got something for you as a viewers. If yes, I would be happy. And I think that not only DNA, not only genetics is create us, but also people who we met, which we met. Yes, like meeting you, for example, and for you, all these people which you met in your life, involved and in Cold Spring Harbor, etc.
Actually, apropos that, I have very good friend in high school. He was 7 years older in where I live in Poland, and he was teaching me many new things after he became a university student. And then during the war, I lost him. And recently I rediscovered him again. He's 99, and he is interested in underwater exploration. He discovered many underwater mountains, etc. And in summer he lives in Copenhagen, and winter he lives in Malta, and we are in touch. He is 6 years older than me, and he also stressed that all what he achieved in life, many things, is because of his good teachers he had in Poland. And the same was me. Good teacher, that's very important.
I wanted to first thank Jennifer Tischler from Krika that Jennifer made this happen, reserved the room, and kept in contact with everybody. So thank you, Jennifer. And for Anna, I wondered where you picture the documentary might be shown, and you have copies available.
Tonight was first public screening of this documentary. Of course, I hope that it will be more in Poland and the United States and but we just start, and there are some copies.
I think maybe one more question, and then I think we need to get up there and eat some of that stuff. The one thing about Václav is that he never goes to anywhere without eating some stuff.
Professor Szybalski, you always return to talk about how important your childhood and your education was in Lwów, and always referring to it as Poland, and you describe it as an academic utopia. And I'm curious about, especially now when there's a lot of attention towards Poland being anti-Semitic. I'm curious, what was the dynamic between yourself and your colleagues with the Jews and also with the ethnic speaking Ukrainians? Did you feel anti-Semitism in Poland before World War II?
In every country in Europe, there were some bigger or larger traces. I was lucky that in this part in Poland where I live, the population was about 60% Roman Catholic Polish, Jewish population was around 20%. Ukrainian was only 5%, very small. And there was Armenian, rather large population. The city has a tradition of being very open and very, with no many tension. Although, you know, everywhere there is always some student. I was not aware, I didn't have the feeling of anti-Semitism or something like this. I learned about that in the United States more. Not in my earlier life. And as you see, I am thankful to my Polish Jewish friend that I left of the secretary of Niels Bohr, and hundreds and hundreds. Karl Maramoros, my very best friend, was also Jewish, etc. And we are the best friends. And I don't think about it, but you ask me, so I have to think and find some answer. But I know that there are friction. Now, there are many friction and people like to kill each other. They always find some good reason. Even now in very peaceful world. Yeah. And imagine during the war, and imagine when there was Stalin and was Hitler, which was trying to really foment it. And still, we some sort survived without.
Okay, I think we should. Sorry, is there something?
Can I just ask one last question?
Sure, one more question.
Oh, we're giving the last word to the council. Thank you very much. Just one last question, if I may. Mr. Szybalski, a large chunk of the film is devoted to the scientific life of Lvov before the war. Lots of good things are said about that. But you've also had a chance to travel to contemporary modern Poland. 25 years after the rebirth of Polish democracy, and you had a chance probably to meet Polish scientists today. What do you think about Polish science today, about the directions that young people are taking? What is your view, and how does that science world compare to that of Lvov before the war?
I mean, at the present moment, I don't feel any difference between Polish students, American students, German, French, Jewish, whichever, because they all speak English. So I think it's all very international. Just after the war, there were problems they have with English in Poland, because that was, they were trying to teach Russian and things like that. But very soon after, there was general trend that everybody has to speak English if he wants to be in science. And they're doing very, very well. And I have very many, I have at least 30 people students or postdocs from Poland. Many of them are presidents of universities, etc. And many of them died that bad because they got old. But as I say, there's not much difference. Most European countries are very the same level at the top level of science.
Okay, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your questions. It was very interesting to hear your samples. Let's begin. I hope you got some good pictures.
Yes.
Ale ja chcę, żeby ktoś poszedł jeść.
A ja też chcę swoim telefonem. Słuchajcie, no to takie już a nie w tą stronę się.
Właśnie nie poznam co będzie dla mnie ogromną przyjemnością.
A możesz kobieto między nami.
Okej.
Say I do.
Teraz na mnie popatrzcie. Thank you. Przepraszam za...
Pani Aniu, gratulacje. Piękny film.
Dobrze zrobiła, nie?
Świetnie się bawiłem. A początek jest taki piorunujący, że jak film fabularny jak.
No właśnie.
Gratuluję.
Ona mnie zawsze tłumaczyła, że to musi być dla większości ludzi.
Tak. Nie, jest super. Taki królik.
Fajny pomysł.
Super, dobrane. Faktycznie podobieństwo. Nie, normalnie.
Ale czy ktoś myślał, że to ja jestem?
Każdy myślał, że
Taka jest chyba sugestia, a ja tak zacząłem się dopatrywać. Znaczy, to jest takie właśnie genetyczne cechy podobieństwa.
Ja mówię,
Tak. No super, świetnie. Ja się bawię. Coś wspaniałego jest zachwycony.
Ludzie się śmieją.
Fajnie połączone, w taki lekki sposób. Super.
I was in Geneva
Udało.
working.
No, fajnie, to idziemy jeść.
Dzień dobry. Ja chciałam tylko zwrócić Pani uwagę, bo my dosyć popularny
Yeah, and he invited
tak,
me
słyszałam.
for the first time. I came, but then it was not possible. 17 years later.
Jak byliśmy się kontaktować, to przykładem można się kontaktować z Panią
Jasne,
i
jasne.
zgłosić ten film do...
No pewnie, wizytówki wymienimy, dobrze?
I ja się zobaczę, bo ja patrzyłam, do kiedy ten film się zgłasza.
Właśnie my z Szymonem planowaliśmy
Też
złożyć
tak?
do Wisconsin Film. Jest Szymon, tak.
No to właśnie, to zaraz, to widzę, że taki pomysł
Tak,
już był...
już tak.